Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Libra energy. And for this round of zodiac sign readings, we're going to do a 10 card spread. So we'll get the cards out here. We'll see what's going on, how people are harnessing this energy. It'll depend on if people harness high vibe Libra energy or a more shadowy, worldly Libra energy. And everybody's got free will. Life's about learning lessons. Some people have tempered their more immature, worldly, egotistical, self-centered, manipulative, prideful, insecure, past pain and heartbreak nature. And some people haven't. You know, we've all got things to work through, and some people did work through some of those issues so they don't manipulate them like they used to, and some people haven't. Okay. The cards that are turned sideways are cards that came out not showing themselves. And we kind of read those differently than the ones that are facing us. We're also going to get a positive personality oracle here. I'll show you the deck in a minute. Okay. Mystic Souls Positive Personality Oracle. We're going to take, okay, we'll take them all. We have passionate, flirty, mature. Passionate would be people in their fire sign energy. Flirty can be Gemini energy. Mature, maybe Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus energy. But you can either harness those energies in a more shadowy way where you use your... the masculine figures can represent how we're presenting ourselves in the world. But the feminine figures in tarot can reflect the truth of how we really think and feel. And there's some people that present themselves as being more mature, Libra energy, more stable, balanced, grounded, truthful, honest, just, and fair than they really are. And they could use their sexuality and their charm and their words and their emotions and all those things to try to manipulate people into getting into a relationship with them. But the truth is they could operate more from their ego. Immature nature, defensive nature, prideful nature. Other people are the real deal. They really have learned lessons in life, and they are who they say they are. I look at this card down here as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the High Priestess card. People either use their intuition in a shadowy way, like a scam artist. Who do I think feels stuck or feels conflicted or feels left out in the cold? Who can I go try to manipulate in a relationship? Other people use their intuition along with their other traits and gifts in a high vibe way. The High Priestess is Cancer, Pisces energy. People who use their intuition for good. From love. Who are the people who aren't being deceptive and manipulative? I'm not going to go prey on someone for my own selfish reasons. I want to be in a relationship with someone who is actually emotionally mature, inspired by love. But some people aren't inspired by love. You can get hurt doing love. And some people don't ever let their more authentic, loving nature out to play in the world. It could get hurt. So they keep that aspect of themselves like locked up. And instead it's their more ego nature running their life. Let's get in relationships. Let's look like we have whatever other people have in the world. I just don't authentically do love. I'll have sex with you. I'll enjoy the relationship with you. But I don't really let my more authentic nature out to play. So, you know, growing up in the world, a lot of times we didn't listen to our intuition, and we could have gotten ourselves in some relationships with people, and we had some valuable life lessons to learn from them to teach us to learn to listen to our intuition. So, what's going on in Libra energy? And by the way, we all tap into Libra energy. We all have our own idea of what we think is just and fair and kind of the truth in our dualistic nature of what we're trying to build our life on. Some people it's more about themselves and the things of the world. Other people it's about love. And because we live in a world where we don't know the veil, we don't know the truth, and people can present themselves any way they want to in the world, we were given the gift of intuition to help us navigate in this world. So we have the Hangman, the Star card, and the Two of Cups. the Knight of Swords, the Seven of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles, the High Priestess, and the Ten of Cups. In a lot of ways, we can seem like we're on the same page with people, but then we come to the end and we have these three cards that weren't showing themselves. And the way I interpret that is that we can be in relationships with people for a long time and we don't realize that we kind of harness these energies differently with some of the people. Some of the people, we harness those energies in the same way. We have the Queen of Swords, which, like the Star card, is Aquarius energy. But some people are defensive to change. I do not want to move forward in life differently. I have a way of viewing life and a way of living life, and this is the way I want to do it. But sometimes we get in relationships with people and we don't realize that. The Tower card talks about kind of letting go of an old way of viewing life, some more immature ways of being or whatever, to let go of an old foundation to give birth to a new foundation. But we have to be willing to deal with the truth. The Tower tries to illuminate the truth of a foundation. Are we operating from the same foundation? Are we driven and motivated by the same things or not? And sometimes we don't know for a long time that some people are defensive to letting go of an old way of viewing life, ways of viewing life, their defensive nature. We'll probably hear more about it in the story. And then the Three of Wands is kind of the passionate nature of fire energy. How do we expect our dreams to come into reality? What is our two cards of like what our dreams are? But one can be defensive to being more bold and brave and confident in their life. I like to repeat this pattern in life. This is how I want to do life. And they could be a little bit more about themselves. Aries energy is about the self. Are we willing to grow and heal and mature ourselves? Look at life from a higher perspective, detach from old ways of being, where we have hope and faith and belief in our dreams, and we are bold and brave enough to realize that that means I need to detach periodically in my life from old ways of looking at life, because nothing stays the same. People are continually growing and healing and changing and maturing, and I kind of need to go with the flow of life too, and I'm willing to do that. Because it's about kind of growing to your full potential. And if I want to be in relationships with people, I can't be all about myself, my wants, my needs, my lusts, my greed, my pride, my ego. It can't just be about me. I have to detach from it being more about me, even if that means I'm defensive. I have fear of love. I have fear of trusting other people. If we want to work together with other people, we have to get over our defensiveness of self to have some more hope and faith and belief and love. Some of the people that we've worked with in our life, we had lessons to learn from them. Maybe they were bossy or controlling or selfish or prideful. Not everybody's the same. Are we willing to listen to our intuition that not everybody's the same? And maybe quit being so defensive of protecting myself? Maybe let that way of being go so I can be in long-term, emotionally fulfilling relationships with people who are loving and intuitive and mature and insightful. You know, some people never get out of that defensiveness, and it doesn't matter who they're in a relationship. Nope, I gotta protect myself. Nope, I don't step out my comfort zone. Nope, I don't do love. I'll be in a relationship with you, but I won't let go of my defensive nature. And some people, they're all about more about looking like a shining star in the world, and that's the most important thing to them. And if they get in relationships with people and those people don't want to make their life just all about these things of the world, well, then they might not want to stay in a relationship with those people anymore. You can go, I'm going to go find someone who's driven and motivated more by making their life about me, or they're defensive also, like I'm defensive, or they're all about making these things of the world most important in their life. So, there's some people who did look at life differently. That's what the Hangman talks about. It's also Pisces energy. I have a dream. And maybe the way I've been living my life, I feel stuck. I need to look at life differently. I need to expand my perception of myself and the world around me and what I believe is possible, and expand my perception of how I view relationships, how I view other people. And some people can be stuck about wanting to see the truth in the Knight of Swords. If I'm living my life in a certain way and I don't seem to have the emotionally fulfilling relationships in my life, what is that truth that stands between me and that? Am I willing to look at life differently so I can move forward in life differently? The Star card, like the Queen of Swords, the Star card is Aquarius energy. Am I willing to look at life from a higher perspective? Put things in perspective. I'm probably going to live 80 years. Do I need all the things that I want in the world? Do I need them right now? Today? Tomorrow? Next year? Am I willing to keep things in perspective? It takes time for us to heal. Aquarius also talks about healing. You know, it takes time to look at life differently. It takes time to get out of our defensive nature if something happened that made us feel defensive. It takes time to work through those things, to keep having hope and faith and belief in our dreams. And then to kind of be inspired that I want to work through these things that keep me stuck. you know, some people aren't motivated to try to even figure it out. I'll just go take some action out of pride or ego or lust or greed to feel better. And other people have probably already done that before in their life and they know that doesn't work. So, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to look at life from a different perspective and have some hope and faith and belief in myself. And I'm going to work through this because I want high vibe energy. I want to free myself from things that manipulate me. If it's things within myself that manipulate me, my fear, my insecurity, my pride, my ego, my defensiveness, I want to work through those things. If there's other people in my life that try to maybe stop me from loving and believing in myself, well, maybe I need to put life in perspective and think about, in the Two of Cups, who really has my best interests at heart. Who are people that love and encourage me to believe in myself and believe in my dreams? And who are the people who are trying to stop me from loving and believing in myself? We can have people in our life with our dualistic nature. We have different people in our life. We can have people in our life who are loving and encouraging and supportive, want us to grow to our full potential, become all we can be, believe in ourselves, not trying to manipulate and control us. But then we can have other people in our life who are like, don't want us to change, because then we maybe won't be living life the way they live life, or we'll be living the life of our dreams, and that's maybe not how they're living their life, or they like to control us or manipulate us. And if we love and believe in ourselves and look at life differently, or heal or grow or mature ourselves, maybe we won't hang out with them as much. And so sometimes we can have people that are defensive to us healing and loving ourselves. They want us to stay stuck right where we are and keep staying in a relationship or a friendship with them, or stay in that job. Because they could think, in the Seven of Wands, this looks victorious and successful to me, this works for me, let's keep doing this. But let's not really align with hope and faith and belief and love. And we can all get in relationships because we feel stuck, haven't learned to stand up for ourselves, didn't love and believe in ourselves. But then as time goes by, one person can start to do this work to, I want to see the truth of why I'm defensive. Why don't I move forward in life differently? Why don't I listen to my intuition? Why am I not more hopeful and believing in myself or loving myself? And we can all have been at that stage of life at different times in our life. It's just that some people are kind of curious, the passionate, kind of the fire energy. I don't like feeling like things manipulate me, and I want I don't want to keep staying stuck or repeating old patterns. I want to get to the truth of the situation. And people started to do this work to work through those things that made them defensive. What is the truth when the Knight of Pentacles is holding the one pentacle? And in high vibe, that means somebody did work through something. They Virgo energy within ourselves talks about kind of doing that inner work to free us from things that manipulated us. And previously, we might not even have realized that part of life was doing that inner work. Nobody tells us that when we're young kids. Oh, eventually there's going to be some things you're going to have to do some inner work to work through some of your pain and heartbreak and self-limiting beliefs to free yourself. It's like, what? Who knew that? you know? And we don't really realize it until we're living our life a certain way. And there's things we'd maybe like to go do in the world. High vibe Leo of the Seven of Wands is maybe being more authentically ourselves in the world. Feeling more confident within ourselves. Feeling in Libra energy, more stable and grounded within ourselves. Why do I always feel tipped out of balance? why am I maybe stuck up in my head or in my emotions? I want to be more balanced within myself. And then they kind of get inspired to do this work within themselves to free themselves. I want to work through some of my defensiveness. If there's other people in my life that the Queen of Swords can mean that you felt betrayed by people. We've all dealt with people in our life that weren't maybe very stable or operating from their more loving nature. They were operating from their more worldly, shadowy nature. They could have just been kind of stubborn, kind of manipulative, kind of defensive, kind of bossy or controlling, kind of more caught up in the things of the world or their own self or addictions or whatever it was. And it's just kind of realizing the truth that everybody has to do this work within themselves. If people had been willing, had freed themselves from things that manipulate them, they would have been more loving, more just, more fair. They would have acted with more character and integrity. They would have been, again, more just and fair and loving. And we just see the truth. And when we kind of do this work within ourselves and we realize kind of what hard work it is to work through those things, we can understand why other people didn't do it. And why they just kind of like, I'll just keep doing life the way I've done it. Shadowy hangman is kind of like, I'm just going to live life the way I live it. Kind of operating a little bit from ego. I'm going to focus on maybe looking victorious and successful in the world and, be in a relationship, defend living life the way I live it because I'm defensive to maybe wanting to invest the time, energy, and effort it takes to work through those issues that kind of make me act the way I act in the world. And we have to realize everybody has that free will choice. Are we motivated and inspired to get to the truth and free ourselves from those things, or are we not? And some people are like, I'll be perfectly fine and happy living my life the way I live it. But they might be hiding from people they get in relationships with that they do have these issues that kind of make them defensive in a relationship. They do have some past pain and heartbreak and feelings of betrayal that they really haven't worked through. And so it still affects them because they haven't freed themselves from it. But that they could have decided, I think my dreams can come into reality anyway. And sometimes it doesn't work out the way they wanted because these things still manipulate them. And it affects how you act in a relationship. If you haven't worked through past pain and heartbreak, you're going to get triggered in your pain and your heartbreak. If you haven't worked through feeling defensive that some people weren't very loving or giving or nurturing, and you still feel defensive, you're going to respond like that in a relationship. If you are more about yourself or egotistical and self-centered, but you don't want to figure out why you act that way, well, other people they get in relationship with are going to see that that's the truth of who they are eventually, and those people aren't going to want to stay in a relationship with them. And some people, things keep happening over and over in their life. You know, the tower, it's like, like things happen in your life trying to show you something is not conducive to a long-term healthy life or relationships. But some people can keep refusing to see the truth. That's their free will. That's staying in denial of the truth. And some people have this illusion, that's shadowy Pisces energy. I think I can just create this illusion that I'm this emotionally mature, just fair, stable person. I look at life from a higher perspective. I'm not selfish. I'm not defensive. I'm not egotistical. You know, people can present themselves any way they want to in the world. And it's like trying to emotionally confuse people about the truth of who they really are, trying to hide that they're defensive or they're more about themselves, and that they might have these ways of being that aren't conducive to a stable relationship. But they think, no, 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 I am defensive to seeing the truth. I do not want to see the truth. So I think I will use my intuition to look for someone else in the world who I think might be defensive, who maybe hasn't dealt with someone like them before, or hasn't seen the truth that there are people in the world that are kind of more manipulative, fake, superficial, shallow, all about themselves. Other people have been in relationships with people like that, and they're not as naive and gullible as they once were. If you're someone who has hope and faith and belief in love, you could think everybody, if they were in a relationship when it's about love, that they'd be willing to move forward in love. But not everybody is. It's like, well, no, I'll move forward with you in a relationship, but I want to keep. Let's all kind of stay in denial of the truth that I'm kind of defensive or more about myself, or the reason I'm in it is this good for my ego and my image and my status, because I don't really want to do love. I get hurt doing love. And eventually, it's kind of like a mismatched relationship. One person has hope and faith and belief in love, harnessing these energies in a more high vibe way. One person harnesses them in a more worldly, shadowy way. And eventually, both people could feel kind of stuck in the relationship. I thought the shadowy people were like, I thought you were going to make your life more about me or these things of the world. But you seem to keep looking at life from a different perspective, and you keep seeming to having hope and faith and belief in love. I thought over time, you'd kind of get caught up in things of the world. And the other people were like, yeah, and I thought you'd kind of get out of these things of the world and make your life more about love. And then both people could want to be in relationships with different people, because we kind of like to be in relationships with people who are more on the same page as us. And for some people right now that are in a mismatched relationship, some of the people could be speaking their truth that I don't want to keep moving forward in this. Because I think our idea of like what's an emotionally fulfilling life, you could think it is where we operate from our ego and we look like shining stars in the world and we keep making our life all about those things, and it's kind of rejecting our high vibe Virgo nature. Life's about healing and growing and maturing yourself and growing to your full potential. And some people are like, knock that off. Let's just be happy that we're in a relationship, that we look like a shining star. Because if one person doesn't want to do that work within themselves, they don't want you doing it, because then you're like in a different energy than you could have been when you got into the relationship. And energetically, we kind of have to be either equally out of balance where one person indulges another person, or we're both kind of view life the same way. And some people are very loving, nurturing people, and they try to love and nurture other people to get them to look at life from a higher perspective and stand up for themselves and be more independent, free of those things that manipulate them. And people can free themselves from some things, but it could get to that core foundational truth that we have. And it's like, some people's truth is, I am more about me. And I like to kind of be indulged in a relationship, not equal give and take and me treating you the way you treat me. I think I should be deferred to for some reason, male or female. And other people, it's kind of more, I don't, I could have worked with you for a certain period of time and we could have negotiated a lot of different things because you got to compromise and come to agreement on things in a relationship. But now we're kind of getting down to the core truth. And the core truth is, I really am more aligned. The foundation I build my life on is more about the world. And ego and image and status and money and materialism is really more the driving factor in my life. And the other person is like, that's not my truth. My truth is love. And then we could kind of feel like we're in a mismatched relationship. The reason why you're in it versus the reason why they're in it is different. And then both people can kind of feel betrayed because we thought other people viewed life the way we viewed life. And again, this isn't a class in school that we learn these things about getting down to the core foundation of our philosophy of life, and what drives and motivates us. And both people can end up feeling betrayed that a relationship didn't work. The people who are like, this looked victorious and successful, you should have stayed in it. They could think in Pisces energy that you harness, that you live in fantasy land. Love. you know? And you could think you're consumed with the world and yourself, maybe. And I can't believe you don't believe in love. High vibe people want to be in deep, meaningful relationships. Other people might be okay with a more superficial, shallow relationship. It's just to be in a relationship and look like you have these things of the world. That's the most important thing. And other people are like, that isn't enough to make me stay. So, some people might be trying to decide right now if they're in a mismatched relationship or not. If they are in a mismatched relationship, some people are still going to defend it because they're not ready to deal with the truth. And we're all ready to deal with the truth when we're ready. Other people are going to take action. They're done defending it. I see the truth. It's a mismatched relationship. I'm going to listen to my intuition. I'm going to quit defending this relationship and thinking my dream can come into reality here, because I see it can't. And I'm willing to let it go because it's not aligned with my truth. Now, there's other people who could be getting out of a relationship right now. And I think the loving people also aren't operating from their more egoic nature, that they don't mind telling people the truth. I have hope and faith and belief and love, or, they were kind of more caught up, it seemed like, in the world and ego. But sometimes the people who are more about ego and image, that is kind of what they have going for them, because they don't do love, really. So they could be more defensive because their ego and their image is very important to them, because that's how they get people to get in a relationship and stay in a relationship with them, because they don't really invest in truth and love. So their image can be very important to them. And because of that, they could be very defensive to people who leave their life. And they might hide the truth about why that relationship didn't work out. Because if they know they're not willing to do love, of course, they don't want to tell people that. Doing love means you have to get out of your ego and your defensive nature to be willing to grow and heal and mature yourself, and they don't want to tell people that. So, who knows what they might say. Defensive to illuminating the truth. And they might feel kind of stuck because they want these things of the world and have this certain image and status in the world. They just don't want to do love. Other people have left their life. And then I think they'll use their traits, qualities, and characteristics that can make them look like they've got justice in the world. And if people get in a relationship with them, that they'll get justice. And use their looks and their charm and their words and their emotions and their sexuality to try to manipulate people to get in a relationship with them. Maybe look for people who seem to be stuck or people who seem to be defensive, and I'll go make an offer to those people. And hopefully I'll be able to restart this whole process with someone new, and maybe this time it'll work out. And I still won't have to reveal the truth. The only problem is they get in relationships with people and other people have intuition. And other people might be kind of defensive to moving forward in a new beginning with them until they tell them the truth about why that other relationship didn't work out. And they're going to listen to their intuition about if they think that person is telling them the truth or not. And that's when someone can feel stuck again in a relationship. It's like, shit. I don't know. I don't know why people just don't say that, you know, maybe that person does look at life from a different perspective. Maybe that person is a more creative, inspired, intuitive, more bold, brave, confident person than me, and that was outside my comfort zone, and that's not how I really live my life. And I kind of like to stay in the box and in my comfort zone, and that person kind of likes to step outside the comfort zone of how I like to live my life. And I mean, that is one thing people could say, but it really could come down to some people are very self-defensive, and that's why they don't do love. But they don't want to tell other people that's the truth. People could feel stuck. Some people could feel stuck in a relationship, but they're kind of not willing to stand up for themselves because, again, when we speak the truth and tell people what we think, we have to be willing to move on from those people. And until we're really ready to move on from that job, that friendship, or relationship, we'll probably keep just trying to make things work. And there's some people in relationships that are being prideful and stubborn. It's kind of like, I don't want to move forward the way these people want to move forward. I think this person doesn't love and believe in themselves enough to leave. I think if I stick here, kind of being stubborn, I'm going to see what they do. And if they keep standing up and defending this relationship, irregardless of the fact that I am being prideful and stubborn, well, then I guess we're going to keep moving forward the way I want to move forward in the relationship. It's kind of like people who aren't being just and fair and authentic and warm and loving and working together cooperatively in a relationship. If they can get someone who's willing to keep moving forward with them in a relationship, doing it the way they want, well, then it works for them. Even better if that person's a loving, nurturing, supportive, encouraging person. It's like, wow, I got someone who lives their life like that, and that's not who I am. That's like me getting the best of two worlds. I get to be defensive, and they're loving and nurturing. But the loving, nurturing people aren't in a relationship with someone who's loving and nurturing. And eventually, those people will stand up for themselves. They'll do this work within themselves to love and believe in themselves. They'll maybe for the last time offer someone, do you want to move forward with me in this new way? And if those people aren't willing to move forward with them in that new way, it's like, I'm not willing to give up my dreams. I might love you. You could be, if it's just friends, it could be your adult child, a sibling, a parent, a friend. If you kind of keep acting kind of stubborn, eventually I kind of see the truth of it, that we're not working cooperatively in a just and fair way. And eventually I'm going to let you go find some other people to spend your time with. And I'm going to quit spending as much time and effort with you. And I'm going to move on to go find people who I do think work cooperatively with me in a loving relationship, who aren't defensive, who aren't just more about themselves, who aren't operating from their shadow nature. High vibe people have learned some lessons in their life, and they try to encourage other people in their life to look at life from a different perspective, to expand their perception, to have hope and faith and belief in their dreams, to keep things in perspective, look at things from the bigger picture. They offer them truth, inspiration, and love. And the people in your life who are on board with that are people who keep moving forward with you. And there's always going to be some people that won't move forward with you in that way, because they'd have to temper something within themselves that they don't want to temper, which could be their defensiveness, their ego, their stubborn nature, and they refuse to do it. It's like, okay, well, you enjoy your life with whoever you're going to hang out with, and I'm going to go enjoy my life with the people I want to hang out with. What's coming up for the people who harness some high vibe Libra energy that they might not see coming up? The shadowy people become defensive when the people in their life start to listen to their intuition and start aligning with their more helpful, believing, loving nature. Because if they make their life more about themselves or these things of the world, they want the people in their life to make their life more about them or these things of the world. And if people start to do this inner work within themselves to free themselves from things that manipulate them, that's when they'll start to become defensive to them. And that's when you could see a person's more shadowy nature, which up until that point you maybe didn't. And it could be being, I don't know, more bossy or controlling or hurtful or unkind, because they want the high vibe people in their life to stop listening to their intuition, stop doing this inner work within themselves that frees them to move forward in life differently, because they don't plan to ever do that. So it could be people who their intuition could be screaming at them too that they shouldn't be living their life like this or doing what they do, but they keep thinking, I don't have to listen to my intuition. I am kind of the boss, and I think maybe I can do whatever the hell I want, and I maybe don't think there'll be any consequences to it, maybe because of my status or my image, or there'll be just someone else who wants to get in a relationship with me. What's coming up for the high vibe people they don't see coming? The Eight of Cups in reverse because of the Five of Pentacles. There's going to be some people in your life, even some people who could have walked away from you at one point in time, people you could have walked away from, because that's kind of what the Eight of Cups talks about, who you could communicate with and they could communicate with you, that I don't want to walk away from this relationship because I feel left out in the cold. And maybe I've been enlightened to the truth. We can all have pushed people away at different times in our life because we had lessons learned, our intuition, we were kind of drawn and attracted to certain people because we had lessons learned, and Part of it can be that we repeat a pattern where we're used to being in relationships with people who are defensive to us. That's the kind of relationships I'm used to. Versus being in relationships with people who treat us the way we treat them. That's like out of our comfort zone, and that seems uncomfortable. And that's not what I'm used to. I'm kind of like waiting for the hammer to drop or the shoe to drop. I'm kind of used to being in relationships where I'm like the loving and encouraging person. And I'm not used to people treating me the way I treat other people. But as people go through these life experiences, like, yeah, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and I'm going to, whatever it takes, I'm going to get used to people treating me in a loving way. And it starts with me learning to love me. So it does feel familiar because I've invested in loving myself instead of maybe being harsh and critical to myself, belittling and berating myself. Because when I was in that energy, I probably had a lot of people who'd be willing to be in a relationship with me and they just joined in on the chorus. And I don't want to be in those type of relationships anymore. I have been enlightened to the truth. I could defend and be in relationships with people who are loving and nurturing. I just have to quit investing in kind of this illusion that I can change other people. And why even try to change other people? Why not just go find people who really are like you in the world and get in relationship with those people? Because to try to change people and their view of life and all that, that can take years and decades and it may never happen. They are the type of person they are for their own reasons. You're the type of person you are for your own reasons. And you should be in relationships with people who are on the same page as you. So there's going to be some people that you could have separated from you, and they want to now move forward with you and stand up and defend you because they could have been letting certain things within them or people in their life kind of manipulate them, or we all just had lessons to learn. The Five of Pentacles moves away from the Four of Pentacles. We all could have had a way of viewing life. And at one time, we kind of could have been on the same page and we were on different pages. And now we've all kind of learned these lessons in life and come in contact with all these different people in the world. And it's helped us get clear about our truth and maybe kind of realizing that, maybe I pushed away some people that really I shouldn't have pushed away, but maybe it was because I hadn't learned to stand up for myself. And I could have had other people in my life that didn't want me to stand up for myself or be in friendships or relationships with those people. And so I let those things manipulate me instead of me listening to my own intuition and my own truth and living my own authentic life. And so there's some people that previously could have felt betrayed because they had wanted a dream to come into reality with some people, but it didn't. And now some of those people are like, I'm not going to keep staying in my defensive nature with the people I'm in relationship with if it's new people. If there was a problem going on that people were negotiating, people don't want to walk away. They are going to put aside their defensive nature, kind of being stubborn or whatever, to work through it and keep moving forward together. And some of you could have some people who kind of come back into your life and want to move forward with you, whether that's friends or family or possibly a romantic interest. Regardless, I think you're going to listen to your intuition. If anybody wants to come back and be in a relationship with you, they would have to have seen the truth. And they would have to illuminate you to the truth of what they learned. Just like anybody that you would maybe want to reconnect with. If those people don't want to repeat an old pattern, they also are going to want to see if you are telling them the truth and what lessons you learned on your journey in life, so that, people being stubborn or defensive or whatever doesn't cause the relationship to fall apart again, right? What's coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Libra energy that they might not see coming up? Now, the shadowy people, they could kind of always be someone who's kind of tempted in their ego or their immaturity or their lust or their greed. And if they're moving forward in a relationship and someone pops up saying, I think you should be in a relationship and defend a relationship with me, and you should be defensive to the people in your life, they're trying to make you heal or grow or mature yourself or listen to your intuition. Let those people go. You should be in a relationship with me. Some of the shadowy people, you know, if you can, some people, would I have to put work and effort into a relationship with you? Do I have to maintain balance? Do I have to be just and fair? Maybe these people wouldn't require me to do that. And, you know, maybe I'll be in a relationship with them instead. So they're more susceptible to falling into temptation. What's coming up for shadowy Libra energy that they might not see coming up? The Emperor, the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Pentacles, the Four of Swords, the Judgment card. Why? Because of the Tower. When people act kind of in shadowy ways, stubborn, defensive, manipulative, egotistical, not telling the truth, eventually there's people in their life, they can't ignore the truth anymore. They've been offering love and encouragement to heal a relationship with people, and eventually they see the truth. These people don't. I have to accept the truth. If they were motivated and inspired to heal or grow or mature themselves or look at life differently, they would. And I need to get out of my ego about it and accept the truth. The way they want to live their life, that's their free will to live their life that way. I don't want to live my life that way. The only person I can change is me. And I need to work through my own defensiveness to going and living my more authentic life, to let them live their life the way they want it. And I need to love and believe in myself enough to go live my life the way I want it. And eventually some people in their life, the Emperor, Aries energy, talks about making a decision. I wish you peace and love, but I've seen the truth and I've healed. And I'm calling judgment on this unstable foundation. This foundation isn't built on truth and love and justice and fairness and character and integrity. And it might be more about ego or codependency or fear or insecurity or defensiveness. And that's not how I want to live my life. And I'm going to go invest in people who've healed, who harness high vibe Libra energy. And I'm calling judgment on this foundation. And some of the people who thought, oh, I'm sure they love me, which they probably did, but I'll use the love that they have to manipulate them. I'm sure they won't go anywhere. I'm sure they've indulged me in the past. I'm sure they'll keep indulging me. And, it's kind of like Judgment Day with the Judgment card. There comes a point in time when people say enough's enough. I'm done. And they leave. And some of these people did not see that coming. And those people are going to go invest in people who have hope and faith and belief and love. Treat them in a just and fair manner. And then these people are probably going to be in their ego about it and defensive, not wanting to see the truth. Maybe defensive to reaching out to those people. It's like, well, then keep living in your pride and ego. And they'll probably end up in a relationship with someone who's like them. Someone else who doesn't want to see the truth, that's more about themselves, who loves being about themselves and the world and these things of the world, and that's their truth, and that's what they've decided they want to build their life on. And they'll probably be in a relationship with people who are like themselves, who are defensive to the truth. Everybody's using their emotions and their sexuality and their resources to manipulate people to stay in a relationship with them, because by worldly standards it looks successful and they look happy. I just think other people have realized that if I don't want to make my life about those things, I have to detach from that old way of viewing life. Quit indulging myself thinking those things will make me happy. And I need to invest in my truth. And it's not that. So there you go, Libra. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.